All right, hey everybody. I'm just gonna send this out to where it needs to go. Welcome to another Blender Brunch Bros. Mondays at 12 Eastern Time. Great. So the latest thing that I think I'm gonna work on is getting a animated pour going from this. So let's see. I brought in. Oh, actually, let's see. I want to do Shift I. A new image or that I'm trying to emulate, which I guess in this is a lot of foams coming out, a lot of air bubbles. So it's almost a kind of an opaque color rather than transparent at all. That's interesting. Um, well, let's go ahead and make a shape for it. I'm just going to go ahead and just grab all these vertices, duplicate them. I think I'm actually going to make it a 3D shape just because that gives me a lot more options with animation. So, and I'm going to separate it to start a separate object with P. Go ahead and turn on screencast for everyone. That's good. Alright. So I'm going to extrude this. It's got flips normals. And calculate that. And this will probably have multiple elements. So basically what I'm trying to achieve here is I want to be able to pour out the ale from inside in a convincing way, but I want it to be have a dynamic animation where a character could be rotating around or holding it, and the liquid would bend. So I'll be bringing in some bones, and maybe I'll get into Unity with how I would set that up, because that'll be fun. Let's see, let's spread it out. That look right. Sure. Maybe I'll. What I'm trying to think of right here is so I'll have a sort of an anchor bone hook point right by the nozzle, of course, and I'll have a second one to give a softer arc, so it's not just like if I just had one hook at the bottom, like that isn't going to give that kind of pop out that I'm looking for. So let's see. I'm just going to. I'm actually just going to extrude these, yeah. Let's move that. And then a final step for like setting stuff up in Unity would be using decals for like kind of getting that wet or piling up liquid on the surface of whatever ground they're at. I don't know if I'll quite get to that. Definitely, probably not in this stream, but in general, I want it to be efficient. Well, I don't want to take up too many of the resources that the game could use for other things. At the same time, this should be a pretty cool effect. So basically, what I'm trying to do is sort of a little splash radius. Let me change the color. This is such an looks like a turd coming out of the nozzle. there's plenty of space to go around here, so as long as I unwrap it uh, well enough. I'd love to not have the seam, or I'd like to put subdivision through the bottom so it can curve into the ground, because ground is uneven, especially when you're doing kind of like a dynamic effect that's supposed to be able to go anywhere. Ground can be really uneven, and I want it to be able to clip through the ground and not ruin the effect. I can add some extra. I like to think of it in terms of particle systems where you have a lot of different hot dog water. Yep, it's back. The hot dog water is back. Let me go ahead and shade smooth. And let's unwrap this. So I'd love to have a seam that's on the bottom instead of on the sides here. Just because I think not having a seam where it meets the ground will make it, or right near the ground will make it look better if I can, what's it called, if I can get the texture to be not too warped. Then maybe I'll hide a seam in the back, since that's not going to be seen as much. And then to further hide it, I'll drop down the back a little bit, raise up the front. Not that much. Alright, let's see how this unwraps. Actually, while I'm doing this, clear these seams. Really trying to hide the seeds from the front, especially since this is such a small thing, the resolution might not be that high. So the seams are going to be more prominent. Alright, I'm just going to select everything at once so it's easier to find a place for these UV maps. For this main section, I want to find the biggest space left over. I think it should be big enough. Obviously, things aren't packed as efficiently as they could be, but this is still pretty good. A pretty good amount of space. Is this space bigger? Yeah, it looks like it'll do a little bit better over here. Okay, and these shapes aren't as important, but still want them to be as big as possible, because that will reduce the seam show. I almost wonder if in the future there'll be so much extra memory that you could have 2 texture maps for every object, like the same exact texture map, but with 2 different UV sets, and you would set both of them to 50% opacity, and then you'd have twice the seams, but all the seams, any artifacts from those seams would be only 50% transparent, or like, yeah, they would be kind of faded, and I wonder whether that would be a superior look. Maybe the seams aren't that big of a problem for most people, though. I'm sure there's better shaders than the ones I use. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and jump into texture paint mode. I've got my own hotkey control tab for that. And then where's my reference image? I'm going to bring that down. I'm just going to grab the color straight from that control up arrow to get into the full screen. And then let's see how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and set opacity to 1 for now. Make sure I'm on a regular Okay, mix instead of like a screen or anything. This is looking so weird. Do I have, oh yeah. So I had normal or sharp edges turned off. This looks so weird still. Is there something I can do with resetting? Oh, I didn't clear the sharps. I just turned off Shift Alt T. Yeah, okay. I just turned off viewing them again. That's funny. Okay, got all that. I probably need to put this on its own material so that because right now because of the shininess doesn't look right. So I'm gonna just call this froth. Oh, oops. That's okay. Barrel, and then I copy it and call it froth. Great. And what else? Oh, oops! I set the barrel to froth. Okay. And this, I'm just going to mess with the. Oh, okay. I'm not in the material mode. I want this to be a little bit more circular. And I feel like I still want some of that orange to come through. Let me see if there's a way that I can get both. Just trying to get in some colors. Isolate just these two things. And this isn't reflective of, I guess, how it would actually work, because this is, it's a lighting calculation that's creating the shine and stuff on the side. But because it's so small, I should be able to recreate that effect, even though it's, it's just like if you're thinking about the way that eyes are made, especially like for anime characters, where a lot of times they'll just draw in arbitrarily the lights shining, but you still get that that effect. I'm gonna turn down my transparency some as I try to get more of gradients in here. And I do want kind of a foam layer. It shouldn't be too hard to extend around once I get something in the front looking kind of more how I want it. There's a lot of colors going on in this. But how is that so good? Huh? Okay. And I'm going to have the bubbles, because really this splash zones is more at the bottom than it is at the top. But I like the way it looks, and so I want to put it at the top as well. Because I mean, it's got the foam in coming out of the spout as well, but control space. Yeah, right. Uh, oh, turn off cooling. Oh, that's a good idea. Because I'm doing a what's it called? Kind of a fake painting in the complicated transparency lighting stuff. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe that probably wouldn't look too bad on the backside as well. But I'm gonna stick with this for the moment. But that's not a bad idea. Maybe I should do it. It's definitely looking like a pile at the moment, but I think um, I think it's going to come together towards the end, and I'm going to add in extra objects too. I think. Sometimes I'll make really obvious and gross looking strokes like this just because I'm trying to add more depth to the texture, and then slowly kind of painting back over it over and over will eventually get it to look how I want it to at the end. I wouldn't consider myself a very skilled texture painter, um, but I do believe that if you have a good reference and you stick at it, you kind of eventually will get something that you can be happy with. Let's see, try to get more of those kind of very interesting. There's sort of a really interesting thing going on the phone, and do not mistake this for color theory at all, but where it's kind of glowing based on the reflection of the amber liquid, which I think looks really cool, and I would love to be able to get that in there. Let's see if I can get maybe a bit of foam throughout. One of the difficulties with me making such a complex texture is it could be difficult to have it animating, but I might be able to fake that just by layering over the texture in the shader and Unity something that kind of runs, so it can kind of maintain most of these colors. Let's see. Looks like on one side kind of has a hard edge, and then there's more of a slope. So I'm going to make it match that over here. And kind of, again, bring down the opacity. Make it look more bubbly. bring in some pressure lines. I say as I set the opacity down. Get back up a little bit. Animate some bubbles going. Again, I'm still not exactly sure how I want to make this look good to be animating, but I think I'll focus first on just getting it to look good in a freeze frame, and then I should be able to, maybe pull out some elements, put in some extra ones, to get it there. The amount of pixels that I have are starting to feel limiting, but this also can be good because it stops you from overdoing detail on an early phase. Let's see if I can bring in more of these gradients. I really love this glow. And I'd love to bring it in. Maybe I can set my brush to be screen. Yeah. Set the fall off to be more kind of a point rather than a thick stroke. Definitely I feel like I need to beef up the amount of, especially at the bottom here. Oops, let me set back to mix. Bump up that. Still on the other kind of fall off. Let this green kind of emulate this kind of cool thing that's happening right next to this sort of side highlight. If I move the highlight over here, I have more space to get in that effect. Maybe I can actually change the mesh so that it's more sunken in on this side. Bring this that I'm using for the highlight over. Using GG, you can slide vertices around on their existing connections without, normally when you hit G, you'd be warping the texture a lot, but with GG, it'll readjust the UVs in real time, which is really nice. I think I do want to make this a little bit thinner. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a pour. Let me bring back the barrel. Okay, it definitely doesn't have the right lighting. Maybe if I made it slightly emissive, that might go a long way as well. Let's save the image texture while I'm at it. Is there no way for me to scale the amount of emission? So I want it to be fully. Fine. Okay, going with the shader editor. I think I can just add something to multiply it by like 0.3 or something. That's what I'm thinking. Multiply What does it look like with no emission? Yeah, I can't remember how to cut links. It is control click? Is it? No, it's not doing it. Hmm. Control right click? No. Oh, that's the knife tool. Gotcha. Okay, control knife. Right click is draws a knife. Great. So that's what it looks like. I was just trying to see what the difference is. Oh, wow, it does nothing. Okay. Let's go with that. Let me change the shading. Still definitely not quite getting the effect that I'm looking for. Probably that could be the roughness too. Let's try to make it shinier. Of course, in Unity, the settings are going to work a little bit differently, but I want something that will give me some idea. In fact, a big part of what I want here is to be able to stretch a midsection. Move these vertices to somewhat match the texture that I painted, so that when I start doing some reading tests, actually I think I'm probably bring that in now. It will behave in a way that will make sense. Well, deform in a way that will make sense. Okay. Let me start rigging it up so I can see whether this is working or not. Let me turn off the green background. I'm sure this is actually a little bit through the ground, and I like to keep it on the ground. So oh, this is going through the ground. Okay. I might just drag these up. Yeah. I know you want this to be as low to the bottom of the barrel as possible. But I'd like a little bit of clearance so that even if they were pouring it while it was sitting 1 inch off the ground, that you'd be able to see something. Alright. I feel like I might want to change this from gold too, because it's now becoming a lot more distracting. Yeah, let me paint that in black. I like a darker version that got Alt D as a hotkey. Perfect. Actually, it should just be the same kind of shade. I think it was a cool idea to make it gold, but it's a little bit too distracting from the amber color that I want the beer to be. Maybe I'll make this part the black, darker black. Oops. Alright, now let's try writing it. This is going through the ground a little bit, but well, I guess I'm going to stretch it anyways, so why not? I can always stretch it. And then should also bring in coin. This show higher resolution. It's probably going a bit too far just for a preview, but I think it might give me a little bit of a better idea of what's going on here. Alright, let's go ahead and rig this and see what kind of ideas that might inspire. I'm going to go ahead and apply the location, rotation, scale of all these so it ends up there. Add armature. The main part of the bale, that can just be like that. It's not really lined up to any direct axis, so I'm just going to. It's not really. I could do something for the for this rotating bit. Separate this, drag it down, scale this in a little bit, so I can easily rotate this without the mesh freaking out. And then I will get a pivot there with Shift S. I want the nub to go to it. And then I just want to rotate this until it's pretty lined up. It doesn't really need to be lined up. I would like it to be just scales these zero to make it lined up. And maybe I'll just grab it up so it's a little bit more intuitive if I wanted to grab it and rotate it. And then now the fun part. Now I duplicate this around and line it up. So my plan, what I should do is snap that to there. And duplicate This is definitely going to be something I edit as I go. Let's just go ahead and just do this as one section for now. Parent that. And both of these to this one. And then I actually changed my hotkey Shift A to changing the name stuff. Oh, I did that in a different program. Yeah. I need to copy in my hotkeys. Barrel. Oh, oops, this is the name of that. Yeah, this is the whole. Barrel bones. Alright, individual bones. Barrel. Knob. Core top. Core bottom. You know what? I might actually add one more bone. And then call this the root, because I might not want this to be parented with that. So let's do that and do that. So the cool thing that this allows me to do once I parent it is this will stay in place, and I'll get a little bit better of an idea of what's going on. Yeah, let's go ahead and parent all these things with empty groups because I want to manually assign them. With a character, you can get away with the automatic weights a lot more, which saves a lot of time since characters tend to have a ton of bones. Alright. This is going to be the knob. Everything else is just going to be the barrel also. And then this is going to be the top. And this is going to be the bottom. Great. So now I should be able to grab the barrel. Oh. Alright, this all comes with it. There we go. Should be able to grab the barrel and it's not exactly what you expect, but it does start to get us to that effect. So, and there might be some constraints that I can do to work with it. Like I could do copy location, just not Z, and I would do the barrel bones, and I would do the top, which allows me to do a cool little thing like this. Bring the sun back, just so I can see the shadows again. You had to have the sun unhidden to get that going. Yeah, there's an interesting idea that I'm seeing from just rotating this, which is that because the way that the points are, it will spin like this, but the spin creates kind of a nice swivel on some of the stuff. I wonder if I could duplicate. Oops. Let's see. Let me clear this out. I wonder what would happen if I duplicated the whole object, and then let me try it. I'm just going to scale it down a little bit so it's clipping isn't too out of control. And then I'm actually going to rotate it to the worst point. And then the interesting thing that might happen here is, I'm just going to start moving it, is when I rotate it, the other one will unrotate, so that kind of creates a nice variation, especially if I was to make the thing different. Let me make the texture that it's on different if I can, especially this disgusting middle section. I might just be able to flip it. Let me see. I'll rotate it upside down. Flipping it would be easier since it's symmetrical only in one way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Probably the best way I get to see this is just by rotating this thing. Oops. Might work. And then that kind of covers my my ass if it gets off. Well, that's fun. I think that's team. I guess it could be. Hello.
Oh, hey.
Oh, I'm streaming, but that's fine.
Do you want anything from McDonald's?
Oh, yes.
Drink?
Yes. Could I just get Diet Coke?
Diet Coke? Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, man. Alright. It does create some clipping, but I think, especially when I add on some bubble objects on top of that, that I might keep that for now. Okay, so now what I'm realizing is I made the splash way too small. Oh wow, it's really become a pile at the bottom there. Let's see, I'm going to clear out these so I can edit it in the right place. Let's see, which one is this? Okay, so, this one, okay. Rename these real quick. We call this pour, and the other one twisted pour. And I'm just going to scale in a few of the things and adjust a little bit so it's a little less of less clipping, at least some of the time. Alright. And let's see. And these constraints in Blender, I'm going to be remaking in code in Unity probably, but they're just trying to give me a visualization idea of what's going on. I'm going to hide the twisted pour for now. Might end up reduplicating at the end anyways. I'm going to do some edits while it's like this. Just going to get a little bit more of the texture space in the middle by hiking these up. That's not a good idea because I want it to be more of a clean. Right, but I do want to make this thing, the bottom, bigger, I think. Where's the pivot thing? Oh, it's because I've got this turned on. Okay, I see. Maybe I will subdivide some of these edges. Just to break up the kind of obvious edge a little bit here. Trying to match the textures somewhat. Using Shift Z a lot so that I can look at it from an angle that I like, but not be offsetting things in the Z-axis too much. Let's see, I've got one down the bones. Just kind of drag it around again. And again, I've got a constraint. One, this is parented to the root object, which is why it's not getting moved around or rotated with the barrel, but then I've also got it to copy just the position of the X and Y, not the Z axis, which is up and under. So I can get some of these cool effects. Okay. And this is, for those of you that weren't here last time, for the first quest, you're transporting these bottomless barrels, which is just, it contains a regular ale, but that the barrel will refill itself. And I could have a thing that's like rotating this, but I think that's enough. I don't need to go too crazy too, because this is just, you know, one small effect in the game. And it's the core quest item, but it's not going to be the first thing that everyone jumps into with oh yeah, so the first thing people won't think of is I'm going to dump this barrel over the ground, but I'm excited for them if they do, because it'll look really fun. Especially when I get the VR component of this working. Alright, I think the last thing that I want to add is, let's see, well, if I add a constraint in Unity that gets this to match the position, so what I was thinking is I would add like a little like suds object that will well, I'll go ahead and make it. I'm going to add a little suds guy this. Just be kind of a misshapen ball. So I'm just going to add an edge loop and merge all these. A little bit bigger so it's more noticeable. But I'd like to animate a little suds that kind of comes out and runs down. I guess if I parent the bone to where it ends up, it's probably the most reliable. Maybe the most reliable way to get this to work. Probably just needs its own segment code to manage it. But let's try this for now. Guess it's not a sub if it's not soap maybe, but that'll do for now. I'm going to take the constraint off of this since I duplicate the bone. I'm going to remove it from those, add a new bone, and assign it like that. Okay. So then this would get into the animation component. Oh yeah, let me save the texture. This would get into the animation component of it. Oops, I'm going to add it wrong on the armature. And the shield icon will make sure it doesn't get lost if I switch to different animation. Hide these. And slide it back up in the middle of the tube, and then have it pop out somewhere else, rotated a little bit differently. Scale out as it comes down. Now this is just one piece, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to animate at the same time. Maybe I will be able to. Oh, if this doesn't, oops. If this doesn't have a keyframe, then I probably can. Although this is, oh, it's not scaling with the whole animation. Right, I guess that makes sense. Let me add one more thing. I kind of want the bottom oops, to fizzle up while it's cooling. Splash a little bit. I mean, this bone, didn't have the thing. I could oscillate it a little bit. It's probably good. Yeah, why not? Although right now I'm keyframing location and stuff too. Although it's copying the location, so it should be fine. The constraint should override it. Probably I could actually make this an alpha clip. Could add an alpha clip mask running along this that would actually, have holes going through it. That might look really good. Let's see. I guess that's probably where I'm going to wrap it up for now. Probably definitely I could do some more painting on this to get it looking a lot better, but I really like how that looks. I guess it's clipping through the top a little bit, but not bad. Let's see. Probably take you a little bit too long to open at this point, so yes, I'm gonna wrap it up there. But thanks for tuning in. And if you were making a magical barrel that constantly pours ale, then now you know a way to get it done. Have a good one.